Today we're going to move to the next object of Shamatha practice, and that is today we're going to be focusing on the mind as the object. We mentioned earlier this idea of bare attention. And bare attention means to observe the object directly. So bare attention, of course, with the breath means we're directly observing the tactile sensations of the breath, meaning we're not visualizing the breath, we're not imagining the breath or anything like that in this practice. We are focusing directly on the actual tactile sensations. And similarly, when we go to this practice today of observing the mind, and when we observe the mind, of course, we're observing the mind and whatever comes up in the mind. So we're observing our thoughts, emotions, memories, images, and so forth. And we are to do that with bare attention as well, meaning to observe these mental events directly and not to think about our thoughts or our emotions or so forth. So to observe them directly. So what I'd like to do now to sort of bring us into this practice of observing the mind is move through a few of the various sense objects using this bare attention, and then towards the end of it just move into observing the mind, just to get a little bit of a taste of it, so that when we discuss the actual practice, we have a little bit of an understanding of what we're going to do. So again, we're going to move through a couple of the sense objects slowly, like visual objects, sounds and sensations and so forth, moving into the mind practice, and then we'll look at this practice in a little bit more detail after that meditation. So let's begin with that. So again, 20-minute session. So we begin by setting the body into its natural state of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. And relaxing more deeply with each out-breath. And with each out-breath, letting go of any thoughts that may have arisen, happily releasing them. And allowing the mind to come to rest in the present moment. And simply becoming aware of the rhythm of your breath. Now, whilst remaining in that quiet, meditative state, open your eyes and bring your attention to the visual field, the field within which shapes and colours are appearing. And observe this visual field without labelling, without conceptualising, without projecting. Simply using bare attention to observe the colours and shapes in the visual field in front of you. And in the scene, let there be just the scene. Now close your eyes and bring your attention to the auditory field, the field in which sounds are appearing. And again, without labelling, without projecting, conceptualising, simply with bare attention, directly observe the sounds appearing in this field. And in the herd, let there be just the herd. Now bring your attention to the field of the body, the field within which tactile sensations are appearing. And again, without visualizing, without labeling, simply with bare attention, directly observe the tactile sensations that are appearing in the field of the body. And in the sensed, let there be just the sensed. Now allow your eyes to be at least partially open, resting your gaze in the space in front of you, keeping the eyes soft and relaxed. And now bring your attention to the field of the mind and observe the field of the mind and whatever is arising in the space of the mind. Thoughts, emotions, memories, images. And simply observe these mental events as they arise and pass, without following thoughts, without trying to get rid of thoughts. Simply be like an impartial observer or witness, observing thoughts and other mental events as they arise and pass. if you're new to this practice and you're not sure where to focus, then every now and again deliberately generate a thought. Any thought will do. And watch that thought as it arises in your mind, and then watch it as it disappears back into the mind. And then keep your attention right where it was and see what comes up next in that space. Now, if you get caught up in a thought and get carried away, remember the first thing to do is simply relax. Then release grasping onto that thought and very gently return to observing the mind. So relax, release and return. Simply keep coming back to the mind again and again, patiently and happily. So that's a little taste of the practice that we're going to be doing today. And before we go and describe that practice in more detail, just a little bit of a review of some of the things we've covered already. So remember we said that one way of dividing up all meditation is we can divide it into sort of two groups, what's called stabilizing meditation and analytical meditation. So stabilizing meditation is meditation to stabilize the mind, i.e. to cultivate a calm, clear, focused mind. So of course this is Shamatha practice. So in stabilizing meditation, we are cultivating mindfulness. We are strengthening mindfulness to develop a stable, clear, focused mind. And then on that basis, we enter into analytical meditation, where we investigate. And so there we are applying mindfulness to, in terms of the wisdom practice, to investigate the nature of reality, to come to an insight into the nature of reality. And in the compassion wing of practice, we are applying mindfulness to investigate our own and others' condition and situation and so forth, to arouse the mind of loving kindness, compassion and so forth. And so mainly, and of course this retreat is mainly a Shamatha retreat, but actually, and Shamatha is the basis of both compassion and the wisdom, compassion, vipassana practices, because without a calm, clear, focused mind, these analytical meditations really won't be very effective at all, because we'll be distracted and half asleep. However, even though Shamatha is the basis of vipassana and compassion practices, these practices work together. They support each other. Because the more that we engage in vipassana practice, the more that will start to cut a little bit our mental afflictions, which means that will provide better conditions for the Shamatha practice to be able to go deeper. And similarly with the compassion practice, the more that we cultivate this mind of loving kindness and compassion, the more we have a better motivation and so forth for Shamatha practice, and the more positive energy we have going into Shamatha practice. And then also vipassana and compassion will help support each other as well. So these three practices sort of work together. So it's not like we first do Shamatha only to cultivate a calm, clear mind, and only then do we start these other practices. That's not really going to work very well. So these three sort of work together, and I'll look at, towards the end of the retreat, how to sort of balance those three practices. But here, of course, at the moment, in the morning sessions particularly, we're working with the Shamatha practice. And remember, in that Shamatha practice, there are the three qualities we're cultivating: relaxation, stability, clarity. And to emphasize them in this order. So first, establishing a basis of a relaxed body and mind. On that basis, we improve stability of attention, and on the basis... Is it working? Maybe the battery's
dead, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So these three qualities we are to emphasize in this order. That first, establishing a basis of a relaxed body and mind. The more relaxed we are, the more that will support improving our stability of attention. The more stable our attention becomes, the more that will support the development of clarity. And in this retreat, we are using 3 particular objects for this practice. So far, we've been using breath, a number of variations of those. Today, we're moving to using the mind as the object of shamatha practice. And tomorrow, we're going to move to awareness. And some